Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial, and we're gonna make this stone ring with some kind of smoke emitting from it, and you can tweak it so it's nothing, and then eventually you power it up and something crazy happens eventually, and then it's going bananas. So this is what we're gonna do, and yeah, let's get started. And I'm gonna start from here and save it. So in the first one, we're just going to start with sampling and position and direction. And we're going to use the sampling mesh and sampling SDF. And you need this mesh, so either you go and do the tutorial that you do the ring in Houdini, or you just download it in the description. And also you need the material. Actually, you don't need the material. You can skip it too, but if you want the material for this tutorial, you can follow this tutorial without the material, but if you want it, do the tutorial about this ring. It's a fire ring material. But we're just going to change the color for it, and we're going to have it a little bit greenish instead. So it's exactly the same as the fire material. And we have an amp here, so we can go up and down with it, so that's super nice. So first off, we're gonna make this visual effect graph, a minimal system. It's gonna be stone ring smoke VFX, and we're gonna add it to the scene, to the stone ring itself as a child. Then we just open it up. So we're gonna sample, so we can put the scene down here so we see what's going on. And we need to put the particles somewhere. So we're gonna put it on the mesh. So we need a constant spawn rate. And we're gonna have, for this one, we're gonna have a float. So we're gonna call this amp. And the amplitude is gonna determine how many particles we spawn. So we're gonna have this from 0 to 1 as a slider. And then we're just gonna multiply a number to determine how many particles we're gonna spawn. And we're gonna use an integer. And that's gonna be max particles. So if we just multiply like this, so now if we have, let's say, 5,000 particles and we do 0.5-ish, then we spawn 2,500 particles each second, and you see them here. And they are spawned in the center at the moment, so that's good. And the capacity, we want it to be able to have 1 million particles at a time. So now eventually it's going to be 1 million particles here. And we're going to have a basic shader graph material, or shader, unlit shader graph. So this one is going to be our shader for the particles. So this is the shader for the particles, as I just said. So we're going to have a color, and actually I right click and convert to property because I want it up here. So that's going to be connected here. And we also, in the graph settings, the surface is going to be transparent. And we won't cast any shadows, and it, very important, support VFX graph. And we're gonna have this texture 2D because we need a texture for it, and we're gonna sample a texture 2D. The red channel, it's gonna be black and white, so we're gonna sample the red channel for the alpha. So if we now open up here, you can see we have this is a shader for the VFX. So down here, we drag this one here. And we should have a color input here somewhere. So I'm gonna the color, it doesn't show up. Why isn't it? Let's say one more time. Okay. I delete the color and then I do it one more time. And add a color again and save. It's supposed to show up. We need a color here. Why isn't it happening? Okay, I'm gonna do the default particle here. Strange. I think it's a bug going on. I'm gonna try to rename this to see if it works. I'm gonna try another shader, then swap back to this one. Okay, now the color is here. Nice. And we have this default particle going on. So, okay, we don't see anything now, but we see from this side. So you see, we need to make sure that the particles is oriented to the camera position. So now we see the particles again. So now we need to sample the mesh so we know where the particles is going to be spawned. And to do this, we need to do sample mesh. And here we need a mesh. And we're going to use the stone ring that we made. And really important, you need to go into this mesh and make sure it's read right. This one, so it needs to be ticked and apply. And when you've done that, you need, you just add this mesh here and now we can sample it. And we're gonna set position and do position to position. So now they are spawning on it, but they are actually spawning on vertex number 0, the first one. So if we do a random number and plug it in here, now it's spawning on vertex 0 and 1, and now it's spawning on 0 to 1000. So how many vertices do you have on this one? So that's what I want to put here. So if we do like 2 million, and just for demonstrate, I'm going to do set size, and I'm going to do 1 here. So yeah, you see it's spawning everywhere, but it's actually spawning a bunch up here. And that's because you need to have the right amount of vertices. So you need to install, let's see if I have it open. I do this tool here. Go into this address. I'm going to link it in the description. Then you download it. And when you've done that, then install it. You find this visual effect utilities SDF bake tool. So install that one. And then if you then have your mesh and put it here, you can actually see how many vertices it have. 108,940. Oh wow. Of course you don't need this tool to see that. If you just check your mesh and press on it, you can see vertices up here too. So there is more than one way to do it. So now we know it's 108,940 that we need. Now you see it won't be one up there. And also we need to set life random like this. So we have set life random, and I'm going to have it 0.2 to 0.4. And now you see it's evenly distributed. Super good. Now we need the normal direction because we're going to add some force to it. And to find the normal, it would be so good if this sample mesh had a normal node here, and it doesn't. So that's bad. And what we can do, is it possible to see it in someone else here surface? No. So we need to use sign distance field. So then again, we have this window. So when you added this one, you can actually bake mesh. And if you press that one, you see here, you got a texture. So this is a 3D texture. So the distance, you see the black one. So the distance from this position to the closest position in the mesh is almost super short. That's why it's black here. So in the middle, it's much further. So the position here to here is like much brighter because the unit is closer to 1 or 2. So this is a distance field, sign distance field, but it also can be used to get the direction. So now when we made this one, and we also need these variables too. So don't close the window, just press save SDF, and we save it somewhere where we find it easily. So I'm going to save it here. And now, let's see here. So now we're going to do a sample, this signed distance field. So we drag in the distance field texture here, and we need to sample it with a position. And the position is this one, because we have from the mesh. And then we set velocity. So not distance, but direction. So now you see they're starting to spawn inwards. And why? So they actually don't really get the right direction. That's because the size of the texture is too small. So if you open up the oriented box and do size, you need to copy the desired box size and paste the correct amount in there. And now you can see it works. So if I do set lifetime to 0.4 and size to 0.2, you see it works. This is really good. Now we can close this one. So now we have the basic to start doing our really cool smoke. So when we have the smoke, when it's big, we kind of need big velocity to it. And when it's not that big, when it's very strong and effective, we need a lot of velocity to this one. But if it's not that strong and it's just small smoke puffs, we don't want it to go away, because then it's going to be round bubbles going away. So we're going to add this amplitude here. So the direction, we're going to normalize that one. So it's always normalized. I do believe direction is normalized, by the way, but I'm not sure. So it might not be needed, but I do it. And then we multiply it with the amplitude. So now, when the effect is not that strong, it doesn't shoot away so long. But when it's stronger, so if it's really small, they're just going to stay really close. Then when we do maximum, they go away much further. So yeah, that's how we're going to do it. And also we're going to do the gravity, and then, yeah, so if we have gravity, it will fall down. But we're actually going to do a vector 3 here, and we're going to add 3 to this one and multiply it with the amplitude. So we can just make a copy of it and do it here, so we don't have lines everywhere. So now it's giving more amplitude to the gravity as well. Down here in the beginning, it's just giving a little bit. That's going to do a lot of visual effect later. So I'm going to quit here. We have the basic setup, and I'm going to continue the next tutorial to finish off this really cool smoke effect. So thank you so much for watching.